Live, pal. Yo, chill, Bill, debate. That's what the video says on the topic. Now, the John Byrne Rule is
Hey
something.
guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. And Chillmonger's here. Like, hey, remember, this one's going to be on my channel, man. It's all good. All this is going up.
I was
So,
wondering, like, yeah, because I saw it go live and I was mid talking, so I'm like, yo, do I just begin like normal, or can you edit all that out and begin? I don't know.
turned away. I'm not editing anything, man. We're doing this.
John Byrne Rule, everybody. Wolverine issue number 4, back in the letters page. It says what?
Well, I don't remember if it was issue 4, it might have been issue 6 or something like that. But this is something that when I was a kid, I remember reading. So I've talked about this, and I believe I actually coined the term. It's not a braggadocio thing, it's just a thing. I was getting some comic books signed. I was hanging out. I was meeting a bunch of people for the first time, including Jim Zub. And I was talking to him. He was showing me a bunch of stuff about, ooh, Riri Williams, we're going to change her armor. And I was like, ooh, really? And like, that was how long ago this was. And Jason Fabok was right here, and Ty Templeton was right there. And I remember somebody was talking about something, and like we were all talking about a bunch of things. And I was like, "Hey, actually, I forget exactly who it was, but Jim, what do you call it? In one of the Wolverine books, issue 4, issue 6, there's a thing in there that says every single comic book that you make is someone's first comic book." So
That's what this video is about.
that is what this video is about. And the confirmation of this was that Templeton said, actually, I think that was John Byrne who said that. I was like, really? You think it was him? I was like, yeah, I think it was actually him, because like the person who was saying in the letters page, bang, 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 was actually quoting John Byrne. I was like, that could be the case, whatever. He's like, I'm going to find out for you. It's like, all right, cool. So he called up Jim Shooter. This is before I met Jim Shooter. And Jim Shooter said, actually, I came up with that term. He's like, actually, it wasn't John Byrne. He's like, well, yeah, but I hired John Byrne, so I'm going to take credit for it, because Byrne and Shooter never really got along. So he's like messing with him, but in Jim Shooter's very friendly way. Anyway, John Byrne decides to blow up his house, his home city in the comic books years ago. So anyway, yes, it was in fact John Byrne who said that. So I started telling people, so the John Byrne rule is every comic book that you make is someone's first comic book. So always remember that whenever you're going to write a comic book. And Chillmonger wants to disagree with me.
Because I hear you mention it often in your reviews, and you even slander the names of these comic book writers who make it appear like the John Byrne rule exists, which is that every character, everyone reads, like we just said it. Okay, that rule.
Every
The
comic
thing.
is someone's first comic book. Was that just the Joe Biden thing? The thing.
The thing. We got freaking the free comic book day that was an X-Men book talking about the weirdest things that you would have to be reading House of X to even understand.
Was
The
it
John Byrne rule did not apply.
That? No,
they did not apply. In the main book,
they did not apply the rule. They did not obey the rule.
No, it's dumb. But generally, like regular books, I think that this rule applies for Batman. Every Batman book is the first book of somebody. The sales are all the way up in the freaking 80,000s. Maybe even Hulk.
So free comic book day, that's not possibly somebody's first comic book?
It is. And that was a bad decision. But this John Byrne rule applies for Spider-Man. Every Spider-Man book is someone's first book. Maybe even X-Men. Not this, but like a regular X-Men book. I'm pretty sure every X-Men book is someone's first book. But then we get down to the low sales. Like we got Comicron.com that showed us issue number 1 of Nebula sold 20,000. What? That you think you want to tell me that was somebody's first book? Maybe the color artist that was there has a family member who doesn't really read but heard that, hey, I'm doing the colors over on this book. Maybe that was that family member's first book of those 20,000 physical sales. But then the second book came out and it's like 10,000 sales. And the third issue of Nebula came out and it's less. You can't tell me that was issue number 3 of Nebula was the first book of a fan.
So what if somebody left it on a bus?
Yeah.
Go on. So what follows? Somebody picks it up and reads it.
How often do people leave stuff on the bus? Like out of 10,000 fans who are reading.
Whatever. If you accidentally leave it at a table at your, restaurant, or you donate some stuff to a library, right? Whatever it is, like there's always the potential. And even if it's not someone's book, you have to write the book as though it's someone's first book, even if it's in the middle of a run. You have to.
Strongly disagree.
Okay. The idea is not like, okay, the origin of this character is such. No. You don't necessarily have to get into all that, but you have to make sure that you pay attention to the idea that someone could be picking up this book for the first time and may not know, like, oh, I've seen Spider-Man. He like spins with webs and stuff like that. I don't know anything about Spider-Man. So if all of a sudden his spider sense goes off and he's just like, my spider sense is tingling, there's danger around, somebody's going to right away be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Huh, I just saw his arm hairs move in the movie. Oh,
Yes.
so you're saying he's got a sense. Okay, that's interesting. Instead of just spider sense tingling and he goes off, fighting blah blah, or you just see the little lines and everything. He's like, what does he have, a headache? Like you pay attention to that and you guide the reader without pissing off the long-time reader. Because like, me, I know Spider-Man's got a spider sense, all right? Like, I get it, but...
The first time you learned that, was it from a comic or was it from a cartoon series or a movie?
Actually, it was from a cartoon series because they had a lot more cartoons when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, no. Actually, I think it was from the Chinese Web, one of the Spider-Man live-action movies. I think it might have been from that. I think he started going like that and everything. Yeah, anyway, whatever. So, yeah. Like he jumped on a wall and stuff.
I think if the series, like let's say the X-Men, man, the numbers went up to the hundreds when they were doing issues. I can understand how 123 was actually somebody's first ever X-Men book that they read. But if I'm looking at modern comics, where I go to the newsstands and I see that there's only 4 issues of something, let's not pick on Nebula, let's pick on Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay, go to Strike Force, something like that. Like, case in point. So look, hear about this. What if it's not somebody's first comic book ever? What if it's the first time they're reading Strike Force? What if it's the first time that they're seeing Blade? And they're just like,
I'm not arguing that.
I've seen that. Yeah, okay. But this also still is part of the John Byrne Rule, right? He's taking it all the way to the farthest end of an answer, but including everything else that's there. Someone may not know anything about this character or this world or about their powers or about the plot or about anything that's going on. And you don't want anyone to feel left out when they're reading a book. And this was a brilliant point, I thought, from John Byrne. Hence, I call it the John Byrne Rule.
Well, okay, let me finish my complete thought, though. We're using Strike Force, which has 10 issues out, right? Are
Something
they up to
like
9?
that, yes. I think they're 9, yes.
When I go to the comic book store and I'm going to read Strike Force, and I look at the stands and I see, okay, issue number 9 is out. What am I going to do? I'm going to start at 9? No, there are 8 extra issues that came out this year that I could find in the back of the store. Hey, do you still got issue number 1 of that? Oh yeah, sure. These things didn't sell here. Or they go to get the trade paperback of Strike Force, which collects 1 to 6. People understand numbers and they're not going to start with number 9. They're actually going to be discouraged. Now, if it's a long number, like 175, I get it. You're not going to go back to number 1 for that. You'll just like, what's part 1 of the story? I understand. The John Byrne Rule applies over there, but I feel like this John Byrne Rule is of the past, especially with sales so low, with so little fans. Who's actually coming in saying,
so
I'm going to...
few fans, yeah.
I'm going to start with...
I hear you, but maybe that's one of the reasons why the sales are so low. Because a lot of time, this is one of the reasons why they jump back to issue 1s. Think about the logic here. Rather than saying, okay, follow the John Byrne Rule. Spider-Man issue number 850 is coming up. Maybe this is going to be somebody's first comic book. But instead,
I actually get that one, yeah. It's like an anniversary issue, yeah.
So okay, issue number 49, though, 849, whatever. It's the idea that this could be somebody's first comic book. This could be somebody's first time actually buying a Spider-Man comic book. Maybe it's not even purchasing. Maybe you're sitting at your friend's house. I know it's hard to think about sitting at your friend's house nowadays, but maybe you're hanging out at your friend's house and your friend is a comic book collector and he's got issue number 6 of Strike Force. And it's just like...
Strike Force?
Yeah, Strike Force.
You had me with Spider-Man, but Strike Force?
No. Yeah, I want to hit you with Strike Force. And he just says, comic books, whatever. He just starts flipping through. And he decides, let me go back and look at the first issue or the first page on this, issue number 6 of Strike Force. He starts looking and boom, 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 boom. I don't know what the hell is going on. He tosses it to the side. But what if he just, boom, boom, boom. Oh, so far this has been happening, this has been happening, this has been happening.
Mm-hmm.
The characters who are in here are such and such. Or it doesn't have to be on the preamble. It doesn't have to be on that prologue page, the first page where it says all this stuff. Just throughout the comic book, it's explaining, hey, Blade, you were a vampire, a half vampire, blah, 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 blah. So boom. And it's like, this guy's a half vampire. Whoa, okay, wow. I like the way he's drawn. That's pretty cool. And all of a sudden, like, who else is in Marvel Strike Force? That person. So, oh, wow. Oh, hey, this is actually, and then all of a sudden your friend comes walking. Okay, you ready to go? Hold on, can you hold on a minute? Let me finish reading this book, man. It's like, wow, you're into Strike Force? I've never read this stuff before. This is actually really interesting. You're not going to hold anybody's attention if they're going, which way is up on this thing? But if you do, now you might have somebody who says, I'm not just going to keep on reading over my friend's shoulder. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to go back and I'm going to buy issue number 1.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, nobody's going to look at Strike Force and say, I've never read a comic book before. Strike Force, that looks good.
But a friend could hand one over.
Yeah. Or you find it.
Now, in all of these situations where you got to find it, someone's actually got to leave their book on a bus and forget about it. Which is a very unlikely scenario. Also, for this case,
there's lots of places you could leave it. Bus stop, restaurant, library, school.
Now, when's the last time I lost a comic book that I just left somewhere lying? It's never happened to me. But, okay, it's
That's
possible.
Anecdotal. That's totally anecdotal.
No, I'm trying to show you the probability of that even happening.
But it only has to happen once for the John Byrne Rule to apply.
Okay, it only needs to happen once. For a book that only sells, let's say 20,000 copies. But okay. Actually, Ghost Rider, I think that was in the 20,000s and it got canceled. Spider-Gwen is in the 20,000s last time I checked. But I want to talk specifically about your friend. Your friend gives you a comic.
Mm-hmm.
If he does that, he's not going to give you issue number 5. He's going to give you issue number 1. If he does that, he's not even going to give you Strike Force. He's going to give you Superman. Check out Green Lantern. Check out this guy from that movie we just saw. Here's the Black Widow number 1.
Here's the trade paperback. Take this home.
Which begins with number 1. He's not going to give you the middle of the run.
He might start you off with Sinestro War, which is not issue number 1. It's later on, but the first stuff might be too boring for you. He might think you're going to get into Sinestro War, which is going to get into the different colors, which is going to get into the Blackest Night, whatever.
He'll give you a starting point.
He'll give you a starting point. What I'm saying is, he's off in another room or she's off in another room and you see the comic book laying there. That's the one that he was just reading it. Okay, so you pick it up and you look at it.
Yeah, the probability of that happening is so small, but okay.
Of course, but that's the thing. So if you just look at it and say, okay, F it, who cares? Why would I bother doing the John Byrne Rule? Why would I bother doing the extra effort? Maybe this is a part to blame for the comic book sales being so low.
Exactly.
Because nobody wants to jump in there. So saying that the John Byrne Rule doesn't apply, I think that's very different from the idea that nobody's enforcing the John Byrne Rule, and they should be. That's why I look at it.
I think we're both what we're saying both applies here. Yeah, they should be more John Byrne Rule enforced, I guess, implemented in these comic books.
Yeah.
But when sales are this low, they're not like the Arrow, which Wolverine issue number 4 or 6, whenever that came out, I'm sure millions of copies came out. This week, I think Wolverine came out. Oh, we don't actually know the numbers, actually. Comic-Con hasn't posted the numbers for the last 4 months. They haven't digitally put the things on the website.
Oh. Yeah, well, they get it from the comic book stores,
which
not from online, so there's no way they would have that.
Damn.
Yeah,
but Wolverine now, I'm sure they're selling. I think last time I checked,
just came out.
Yeah, there was something like 200,000 number 1 issues of Wolverine that came out, and then issue 2 went back down. That's the video, guys.
So we both agree that the John Byrne Rule should be followed.
Yes, but I wouldn't say that every comic book is someone's first comic book in 2020.
Possibly.
But yeah, every comic book should be new reader friendly, which is the preamble.
Yes.
Which
every comic book should be new reader friendly at some point in the beginning and during the comic book.
I like what they did in the previous Avengers book. Sorry, I know we're trying to end this video, but I'm making it longer. The first page was actually images from last month's comic book. And then the second page was the intro of On a Day Like No Other, the Earth's Mightiest Avengers Assembled. Yeah, give me the artwork and give me the writing. That just helps me. And I like that.
Yeah.
More comics should do that.
Yeah, 100%. All of it. Just remind us of what we just got finished because there's so many comic books out right now. I can't keep track of everything that's going on, and I do reviews on them. Geez, I can go back and actually see me reading the recent comic book for crying out loud,
Mhm.
and I still can't keep track of everything that's happening. I need something to remind me of what's been going on.
Well,
So,
I think that the business strategy of these companies should be hand in hand with what the movies are doing, and you can hear me talk about that on this week's podcast, Comic Book University, episode 8. Was it 23?
28.
28.
Dude, we're way past the anniversary. Jeez, 28 episodes going strong, getting bigger every single week, baby. So yeah, definitely go and check that out. You can listen to that every Sunday morning, the podcast where Chillmonger and I argue like crazy with each other about the comic book world and video game comic book related, a little wrestling stuff if it's comic book related. And yeah, bang. And of course, make sure you go and check out Chillmonger's content. Some of it actually involves me, where he asked me 33 burning questions twice so far, so it's technically 66. I'm saying, order 66.
Should ask 3 more.
You should have. Anyway, so I'll talk to you guys later.
Now he gets
Professor Bill and Chillmonger. It should have actually been 4 more, but Comic Book University.
66 plus 3 equals 69. 66 plus 4
Oh,
equals
you were
7.
going for the 69. Okay, never mind.
Oh,
Okay.
you didn't get it.
It's dismissed.